All right, let's kick off this explainer by diving straight into what is quite literally our ultimate cybersecurity nightmare. It's a rapidly approaching event known as Q-Day. Now, Q-Day is this imminent inflection point when quantum computers finally become powerful enough to shatter the modern public key encryption that protects, well, virtually all of our global digital infrastructure.
But you know what's truly terrifying about all this? The danger isn't decades away, it's already here. Malicious actors, cybercriminals, and nation-states are actively harvesting and stockpiling your encrypted data right now. They are executing what's called a harvest now, decrypt later strategy. They're hoarding all this highly sensitive information today and simply waiting for the quantum computing power to unlock it tomorrow.
Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're talking about the quantum countdown and breaking down exactly how the explosive collision of quantum technology and artificial intelligence is fundamentally rewriting the rules of global warfare. Here is the roadmap for our investigation into this unprecedented, high-stakes arms race. We are going to cover the Q-Day countdown, the shift to quantum sensing, the end of stealth, DARPA's reality check, and finally, a brand new world order.
Okay, Section 1, the Q-Day countdown, specifically looking at the convergence of quantum decryption and agentic AI. Let's dive into this first critical vulnerability. So here's the real kicker. Once quantum decryption is actually unlocked, it won't just be humans sitting at keyboards sifting through all that stolen data. No way. Autonomous agentic AI will be unleashed to execute automated, completely unblockable cyber attacks at a scale we have never seen before. With both exposed data and powerful AI at their disposal, adversaries are going to absolutely supercharge their attack vectors. We're moving from manually, easily blocked classical attacks straight into a post-Q-Day world of massive AI-driven digital warfare. Moving on to Section 2, Sensing the Invisible, which marks the battlefield shift to quantum sensors. Let's see how this creates a radical transformation out in the physical world.
Recently, adversaries have been successfully jamming standard military GPS, like that wild incident involving a Spanish military plane in Lithuania. Well, in response to that, the Pentagon just launched Project Farseer. This is a massive $200 million Defense Innovation Unit initiative. Its goal is remarkably straightforward but incredibly difficult: to develop navigation and sensors that physically cannot be jammed, spoofed, or degraded, and transition them directly to the joint force.
The military is taking some incredibly dense quantum physics and breaking it down into 4 specific, deployable hardware efforts. First up, we've got magnetometers, which are designed to detect the magnetic signatures of submarines. Then, gravimeters, measuring tiny gravitational variations to map hidden underground facilities. Third, they're developing portable quantum clocks for perfect jam-resistant timing. And finally, component technologies focused on scaling up manufacturing by borrowing innovations from commercial spaces, like medical imaging and oil surveying.
To really grasp why this is such a game changer, you have to contrast the two approaches. Classical sensing requires an external signal, like a satellite pinging your GPS, which makes it super susceptible to electronic warfare. But quantum sensing, it measures its own motion internally through the behavior of ultra-cold atoms. This means a quantum sensor doesn't have to sit around waiting for a satellite signal. It uses the physics of quantum mechanics itself, guaranteeing perfect navigation even in heavily contested environments. It is literally impossible to spoof from the outside. Which brings us to Section 3, the end of stealth and a resulting crisis of strategic stability. Let's look at why this shift is terrifying military strategists worldwide.
Dr. Antonio Bondavaj really hit the nail on the head with this one. Quantum magnetometers and gravimeters are threatening to make the invisibility of submarines and stealth bombers completely obsolete. For decades, global deterrence has relied entirely on stealth, the ability of platforms to hide from radar and sonar. But quantum sensors don't care about acoustic signatures or radar reflections. They look for the physical mass and magnetic disruptions of the vehicle itself. It is, quite literally, stealth operating in reverse.
27. That is exactly how many months the Pentagon was given by a recent executive order to deploy these operational quantum sensors. Just 27 months. That creates a thrilling and honestly somewhat terrifying sense of urgency across the entire defense sector.
This aggressively compressed timeline is all the proof you need that the quantum shift isn't just science fiction anymore, it's an immediate ticking clock driving defense policy today. We have the executive order in June 2026, forcing a strict September 2028 deadline for field-ready sensors. And meanwhile, the military is simultaneously racing to migrate its entire communications infrastructure to quantum-resistant cryptography by the 2030s. They are essentially trying to patch the vulnerabilities at one end while aggressively deploying new capabilities at the other.
All right, Section 4, Separating Hype from Reality. Let's talk about DARPA's Quantum Benchmarking Initiative, or QBI. With billions on the line, how do governments know what's real and what's just theoretical hype?
Well, DARPA's Quantum Benchmarking Initiative is strictly measuring what is essentially a massive dual-edged sword. On one hand, you have staggering economic opportunities, like optimizing a $141 billion battery catalysis market or a $145 billion pharmaceutical industry. But on the flip side, as warned by NIST, you'd have the severe security threat of large-scale quantum computers breaking public key crypto systems, which would lead to a complete loss of digital confidentiality.
Programs like DARPA's MTO Spark Tank are rigorously evaluating whether these massive utility-scale quantum computers can actually be constructed in the near term. They aren't just blindly taking tech companies at their word, you know. They've built the world's largest quantum computer test and evaluation team to systematically verify and validate if these designs can truly be built and operated the way they're intended to read.
By mapping out the required computation size, basically the number of operations, against the physical system size, or the number of qubits, the U.S. government is officially validating the exact threshold where quantum utility becomes a battlefield reality. They're carefully charting out exactly how many qubits it takes to achieve scientific utility versus the massive scale required to crack an RSA 2048 encryption key.
And finally, Section 5, A New World Order, exploring the opaque geopolitical arms race. Let's examine how the major global powers are reacting to this rapidly closing technological window.
Right now, we are watching a completely opaque, multipolar arms race unfold, where China, Russia, and the US are all independently investing billions to shrink each other's uncontested military maneuver spaces. China has ramped up spending to roughly $15 billion, prioritizing precision measurement and operating a massive 12,000-kilometer quantum network. Russia is out there actively testing real-world GPS denial tactics, and the USA, they're leaning heavily on Project Farseer, accelerating allied partnerships like AUKS, and enforcing export controls, which, ironically enough, is actually forcing Chinese labs to rapidly localize and accelerate their own domestic supply chains.
This whole paradigm shift is terrifying because it replaces the transparent Cold War-era stability of mutually assured destruction with a hidden, unpredictable era known as mutual denial. Because these new capabilities are so opaque, no side can be absolutely certain if their stealth assets are truly hidden or if their communications are actually secure. The strategic environment shifts from predictable dominance into a highly unstable equilibrium where both sides possess the hidden tools to completely degrade the other.
I want to leave you with one final, provocative thought to chew on. This technology is arriving way faster than our diplomatic laws can keep up with. We're watching the convergence of quantum sensing and agentic AI rewrite the fundamentals of global security in real time. So, are we actually ready to govern the quantum age, or is our technological brilliance about to trigger a crisis that literally no one intended? Thanks so much for joining this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.